I was a musical theater nerd. It was in February of 2012.
Okay.
And I went on a trip by myself to South Africa because I was just looking for purpose, and I wanted to get away and I wanted to be by myself. So I took this trip by myself. I was like, you know what, I'm just going to reevaluate and I'll see what comes of me after this trip, because I went for 3 months. So it wasn't
3 months to Africa by yourself? Wow! So what exactly, like normally we go away for things like that, we're running away from something. So what were some of the things that you were leaving behind when you were going to Africa?
I wanted to find my own identity. I felt like a lot of my identity was wrapped up in my family because they're also involved in the arts, and
what they wanted you to do.
Yeah, and it was more so I felt their dream for me to pursue that, and because both my parents did and my brother's in the arts, so it was just kind of like the thing to do, and I just wanted to find my own identity outside of that, and just what would Thalia do if I had none of these influences around me.
So what did you find out once you went to Africa?
I started meditating more. I started meditating under the guidance of one of my Reiki healers, and she had recommended a book to me called Spiritual Growth by Samaya Roman. And
look into that.
Yeah, and it's a meditation book. Each chapter has a different meditation, kind of taking you to a different place. And while kind of being in solitude, doing these meditations, I had the kind of revelation that a lot of people do when they start their meditation journey, and I just realized I am love. And that was the big realization. I didn't know my purpose, but I just had this feeling like a little kid. I was like, wow, like I'm love. And I went back to my family, and they were just like, you know, how was your trip? Because I kind of didn't really talk to anybody. I didn't Skype. I didn't really do any of that.
You just had to self-reflect.
Yeah, and they're like, you know, like, what have you figured out? Do you know what you want to do? And I was like, yeah. And they're like, well, what is it? And I was just like, I'm love. And they were like, oh my God. Like, what are you doing with your life? Yeah, so, and they're like, well, what does that mean? And I was just like, well, I'm this love vessel, and I want to spread it, and I want other people to realize that they're love as well, and help them discover that.
So what was that next step? You know, you wanted to show people that they're loved, so how are you planning on doing that?
Well, so I had another experience while I was there. There was this preschool that I would visit in one of the townships outside of Cape Town, and it was called Dalukanyo. And when I asked them, yes, Dalukanyo, and that was the name of the preschool, and it's still there. And I asked them, you know, what does this word mean? Because it was very unique. I really liked it. It's a word from the Zulu tribe, the coastal language. Okay. And it means to bring light. And so I asked them why they named this preschool Dalukanyo, and they said that they wanted to plant seeds of light into all of the children's minds. And so then I realized, okay, that combined with like me just having this general sense of, you know, I have love to spread, and I want people to, you know, realize the seeds of light in their own minds, to know that regardless of your history, your family's history, anything, you can be and do whatever you want to be in this life.
And be that light.
Yeah, so it's through, for me, I have found myself through meditation and yoga, and so that is the tool that I like to use to kind of introduce other people to it as well, hoping that they will find a deeper connection with their spirit.
Facts. So going into yoga, not many people understand it. I know it's different levels to yoga, so can you break down those levels to give us some understanding that people who do not know?
Okay, so there's different lineages of yoga, and so what that means is there are different ancient teachers. Okay. Yoga was started around 2,000 years ago, and so and then over time there are different teachers who have their own interpretation of what yoga is, and so they create their method, and then they have a school, and then people have their training. So it's broken up by teachers? Yes. I gotcha. Okay. Yeah, so you have kind of a teacher, a lineage that you get your style of yoga from. And so with each lineage of yoga, there's different levels within that. Yoga itself, the word just means union. And so it's about finding union with yourself, and there's different pathways to finding union. One of them is through your body, so that's asana, and that's what in the West we think yoga is moving the body in these stretches and these postures. But that's just one very small aspect. Yeah, that's just it's a way for us to get rid of all the excess energy in our body, in order to come to a place of stillness where we can then meditate. So the only reason why we're doing these yoga postures is to calm down the body, so that you can actually sit in a seated meditation and not move and just focus on your breath.
You basically started doing it to find some type of calm within yourself. So how long did it take you in order to get the drift of it, get the hang of it?
I started doing it 10 years ago, and after the first class that I ever took by one of my teachers back home in Toronto, just the very first class I took, at the end you do all these series of postures. I like vinyasa yoga, so you're doing one breath per movement and you're moving the whole class, except at the very end when you're in shavasana or corpse pose, you find this stillness and you have almost no thoughts and you're just present with yourself and your breath. And so it was almost like I kept taking classes because I kept chasing that feeling. You know, you take this hour class and then all of a sudden
it's over.
Yeah, exactly. And so at first it was just exhaustion. I'm tired, I'm sweating, you know, like I just want to relax. And then the more you build up your endurance, you're able to come to a meditative state once you're in that final posture where you're just laying down on the floor on your back. There's nothing else to it. That's all you're doing. But it kind of takes the whole class to get there. Each posture has emotional benefit, it has a physical benefit, and it has a biochemical benefit.
Biochemical?
Yeah, so yoga actually affects your body down to the molecules. It affects your brain, the way it's wired, the way you think. You're retraining yourself to think in different ways, and so the more you retrain yourself, that's how your mind starts to become expanded. So people say that, you know, that they've had their life has completely changed after they started doing yoga, and people don't really understand, well, what does that mean? How can your life change? It's because you're literally rewiring your brain and your own thought process.
Yoga and meditating itself creates some type of balance in your life. So explain how important it is to actually have balance in your life and have some time for yourself to reflect and actually meditate.
I think it's important to have balance, and I think balance for a lot of people is finding stillness, and stillness is really just being present, and that not a lot of people understand. Well, what is being present? What does that mean? And it's just having moment-to-moment awareness. So in this moment, I'm not focused on anything else but you in this conversation. Nothing else matters. This is the only thing that's real.
So you're controlling your mind.
Yeah.
And your thoughts.
Yeah, and if you realize that the only thing you can control in life is yourself. You have complete control over your emotions, over your thoughts, over your feelings, over your emotional well-being, and like that's a incredibly empowering place to live from.
It takes a lot of discipline.
It does. It's a discipline.
Yeah.
It is. It's a daily discipline. It's a moment-to-moment discipline, because it's not just. People start off by meditating, okay, I might meditate 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes at night, and then the rest of the day. But it's really every day, every moment is an opportunity for meditating while you're cooking. You know, just focusing on the act of you cooking, of you chopping. There's different types of yoga, there's different types of meditation. So there is the meditation practice where you're seated and your eyes are closed, and you're just focusing on your breath, and that's it.
As you were doing earlier, you were making the sounds. Not everyone can make those sounds. Even if I was to try, I feel like I would not be able to give the same effect. So who actually, you say your grandmother taught you, but how long did it take you to actually become great at this technique? And what is the technique to even make that sound?
The sound? Well, I had a yoga teacher after I did my yoga teacher training. One of my teachers used to be a percussionist, and so she incorporated a lot of instruments into her classes.
She was already into the music.
Exactly. And she wouldn't use any recorded music. She would have her son play singing bowls and the gong and drums during her classes. So she took me on. We started to have this close bond, and she took me on as just a personal student where I would go over to her house. She had a home studio as well. And one-on-one, she would teach me about the bowls, and then after I started playing with her one-on-one, she's telling me about the tones, how they affect your body, how they affect your emotions. She started having me play them in her classes. So it just kind of happened organically. It wasn't anything I planned on doing.
That was part of the purpose.
Yeah.
I got you. I feel like as you got towards that part, it got louder. So what is it about the different areas and the tones that
you feel it? All it is vibration, and it's vibrating really high and fine, and you just get a general, I don't know, you get a general feel of it. You start to feel the sound swell, so you'll back away a bit. You start to feel it calm down, so you'll go a little bit more. You don't want to, if you know.
Sounds like a human.
Yeah, it's like its own living, breathing thing. It takes a little bit of finessing. These play slightly differently in terms of like the way that you play them. It just takes practice, and you have to be gentle but still firm. You have to go in when you play the bowl, you have to go in with conviction almost. You can't be nervous, timid, backing away. You have to come in with discipline, but soft still, like not sometimes people think soft is weak, and it's like a soft strength that you have to play the bowls with, like, and they respond to you. It is, yeah. they respond to the way, with the intention that you go behind with playing them.
So for people who are battling with like anxiety or depression and need to find that peace, how can you encourage them to implement, meditating and yoga and sound meditating? How can you encourage them to, get involved to find that peace?
So this lifestyle has brought peace into my life in so many different ways. It's kind of enhanced my experience with my family. It's taught me how to accept everyone and everything as it is right now. Noticing how perfectly imperfect life is. It's helped me in terms of the types of people that are being brought into my life. Constantly meeting such amazing people. Not to say life is perfect, right? But just the beautiful people that I've been able to meet just by doing what I do. Whether it be a student, whether it be a client, or just friends, people who are generally interested in the same things. Just finding like-minded people. I think that's the biggest step that I hear also from other people, is that they're struggling to find like-minded people, and you want to feel a sense of community. Now that you've had this, this realization, something that you're looking for in your life, you want the people around you to connect with on those same things.
And feel it too.
Yeah, and so just being able to have those friends in your life is completely enriching as well. So there's kind of deeper layers to friendships. And also with the way that I look at life and handle situations. So in the past where I may have had a mental breakdown or completely freaked out or whatever the situation is, I feel like now I'm able to kind of step back, breathe, remove myself from the situation and just kind of look at the bigger picture. And also to realize that, when someone attacks you, it's never really an attack on you, it's an attack on themselves, Yeah, so it says more about them than it does about you. So you can always kind of have that greater understanding of you're always protected and nothing is really a direct threat to you.